Hey, this is Tish Griffin, and I am back on behalf of Family Credit Management Services to talk with you today on any questions regarding finances, regarding dealing with debt, regarding any issues that you may have with dealing with collection agencies, getting out of debt. Yes, that's what we are here for. Use us as a trusted resource. Go online to familycredit.org, or if you would like, you can reach out and talk to a counselor directly at 800-994-3328. Yes, you can actually go online and talk to a counselor through the chat feature, or you can call again, 800-994-3328. Now, the reason why I caution you to, I just really feel like Family Credit is a great resource for you to have when you're dealing with your finances and you have questions. With so much out there, it's hard to decipher what's good, what's the right information, what's really going to help your situation. So I want you to be able to know that there are people out there that care, that have the answers, have the solutions, and not only will just billow an answer out there for you, but listen to your situation and help you come up with the right answer for you. All have to remember, our situations are unique. My situation is not like yours isn't like mine, but we all kind of go through the same thing with our cycles and our finances. So that's why you can use them as a resource. That's why we come to you all the time, bringing you information on how to deal with your debt. And as we go into the new year, just want to let you know that you are not alone with dealing with your finances, with questions that you may have. Yes, we all have those questions as well. The Fed met not too long ago. And of course, everyone was like, okay, we're going to have reduced rates. We might be able to get our rates back down. And yes, it's going to happen. And the Fed announced they only dropped a quarter point, just a little bit. And on top of that, next year, they're not going to be doing as many rate cuts as we thought, which means we need to prepare and make sure that we have our own finances together. We've got to be prepared on our own with our finances. Yes. So that's what we wanted to talk about, just preparing for the future, for our budgets, and making sure that we are okay. A lot of people are struggling with dealing with debt, dealing with collection agencies, and knowing who to pay first. Who should I pay first? What should I do? First thing that you want to think about is when you're dealing with your debt and you want to know how to get out from under it. Keep in mind, dealing with debt, dealing with your finances, it's overwhelming. It's very stressful. So I do know that. You want to make sure that you're in the right mindset for dealing with it too. If you've had a bad day, the last thing you want to do is sit down and look at a bunch of bills that just came in. I know that for a fact. If you have a bad day, last thing you want to do is hear from bill collectors. You don't want them calling you. So what you want to do is make sure when you're dealing with your finances, you are in the right mindset. Again, we talk about getting your mind ready to deal with your finances. Come home, relax, or set some time aside that you will know that you're going to deal with your budget, okay? Now, when I say set some time aside, I mean that as actually setting that time aside, knowing that this is the time that you're going to do this. No matter what happens, my finances, this is my date. We're going to sit down, we're going to budget, right? That's what you want to think about. That's how you want to go into it and say, okay, now on Thursday, we're going to sit down. I'm going to go over my finances starting at 6 p.m. You're going to block everything out. But before you sit down and start doing that, get in the right mindset. Cut on some nice music, whatever you need to clear your mind, to put yourself in the right mood. For some people, if you need to drink a glass of wine or make some tea even. If you need to just make sure you've got some snacks on hand, and you're going to sit down, go to Family Credit's website, familycredit.org, download the My Spending Plan. You can also do Personal Finance Made Easy, but starting at the My Spending Plan, looking at that, going through it and say, okay, now it's time. We want to sit down, we want to get our budgets together, we want to think about our finances. Keep in mind, when you're doing this plan, you want to really know how much money do you need to make it throughout the year. We're starting at the beginning of the year here. We're starting fresh. So you want to be prepared for whatever is going to come next. We can't do that with a blind eye. We can't just go throughout the whole year, wishing, and no, we got to be disciplined. We got to sit down with this budget. We got to know what we're dealing with. And we want to know, first off, thinking about your income. We want to have an idea of what our income is going to be during the year. And thinking about our expenses, we want to have some ideas in our head too. If I've got more expenses than I have income, what am I going to do at the end? So these are things that we want to like kind of have in our mind as we sit down and we start on our budget. Next step of that, getting ready to sit down with your budget. You've got to have your goals in mind for 2025. What do you want to see in your world, with your finances? What are your goals? We want to think about that seriously. What are your goals for 2025? Is it to travel more? Is it to pay off your debt? Is it to increase your credit score? What's your actual goals? These are things that you actually want to think about so that we can get those going, okay? And when you sit down, whether you're using your spending plan, my spending plan off of Family Credit's website at familycredit.org, or you have your own, you've got your own book that you're going through, you've got a notebook that you're going to be using. This is something that you want to keep for the year. If you've got a financial planner that you're using for the whole year, start off sitting down. First thing you want to do is think about what are your goals. Be it you need your short-term goal, kind of like a mid-range goal, and then your long-term objectives. What are those goals going to be? That's the first step. Now, after you've done that, let's sit down, okay. With my 3 goals, I may want to go on a vacation within the next couple of months. I may want to buy that new washing machine. I may want to get a new car. I may even want to buy a house. These are part of my goals. And so having this outline now, knowing what it is now, that way it'll help us get to it. Because if we don't have our goals in mind when we're sitting down to do this budget, it's not going to mean a thing. And for some people, just so you know, not all goals have to have a monetary value. It's not always about the money. It could be just to have peace of mind, to make the phone stop ringing, you know? These are things that we may all have in mind. This could be part of our goals. And we want to write that down because we want to keep in mind what's important to us. Also, you may say even, okay, with my goals, I have those, but sometimes I forget. I need some constant reminders. You may want to post pictures up. If you've got little boards around your house, you can post your picture of what your goal is. You can do that. You can use your screensaver on your phone. Put a picture there. If you've got a vacation destination that you want to go to, put it on your phone. So when you cut on your phone, you're like, oh yeah, I'm going to be there. I'm going to be there. So you keeping all of this in mind. If you go get in a car, you want a new car, put a picture up of what you actually want. And you want to keep that positive energy flowing as well as you go through and sit down and looking at your budget. You've got your goals outlined. Next thing you want to see, okay, how much money are we dealing with? And for a lot of people, you may say, well, I don't even want to do that because I know I don't have a lot coming in. But honestly, you do need to sit down and see how much you actually bring in after all the taxes come out of your paycheck, after you've done all of that. How much are you actually bringing in each and every single month? Okay? You want to think about that. You want to have that outlined. You want to put that down. You want to look at your income. And then you may want to take it a step further and look at your paycheck stubs, your actual paycheck stubs. Bring out that end of the year paycheck stub. That's where we're going to get a lot of information. Looking at your end of the year pay stub, if you've worked all year long, that end of the year pay stub is going to give us an idea of how much we actually made that whole year. Looking at that end of the year pay stub, you are also going to see how much overtime have you made. How much have you made in bonuses? All of that information is on there. So we can figure out how many hours we've worked during the year, how much extra we have made from it, and then chart our future for the next year. That's exactly what we want to keep in mind. Now, another reason why you want to look at this pay stub is to see how much is actually being allocated or going towards other things. You may have some deductions you forgot about. Are you contributing to your IRA, to your 401k plan or your 403b? Do you have a self-directed IRA? Any types of things that's coming out of that paycheck stub, you want to look at and say, okay, how much is going here and there? And do you want to increase that amount? Have you maxed out that contribution? So it's like, yes, we're looking to see how much we're actually bringing in, but guess what? We're getting some insight on other areas of our finances that we want to deal with too. See, it's a lot of information available that we don't even look at, that we don't even sit down to decipher. And then you're also looking at your Social Security benefits and what's going into your Social Security plan each and every single year too. You may want to go after this, after you look at your income, after we talk about your budget, log on to the Social Security website and look at your benefit statements from what's been accumulated over your entire work life history as well. So you can do that. You can take steps in looking at your finances for your future by looking there and looking at what you're bringing in today. So we'll get into that a little bit later on too, though. But again, we're looking at our income. We're looking at delving into that paycheck stub. And you want to actually see how much you made from this year, looking at how much you made. But now let's look at what's the amount you're actually bringing home. What are they putting into your paycheck stub? What is going into your bank account each and every single time you get paid? Because now that's the amount that we want to concentrate on for our new budget. We want to see how many times we're getting paid and what that amount is. Now, a lot of times I say when you're doing this aspect of it, you want to estimate it off of the worst case scenario. What's the lowest amount that you're going to be bringing in? And if we can make that work, then you're going to be golden for the new year. So after you go in, you sit down and you look at what your expenses are, your income is. We're going to take a look at what your expenses are. And we're going to delve deeper. Now, a lot of times, this is the time to do that too. We haven't looked at our statements for a long time. You want to make sure that you're paying attention to this. Go into your utility bill statements. Time to look at the whole thing. Look at what you're being charged for. Look at your cable bill. Look at your gas bill, your light bill. Look at your phone bill. It's time to go in there now and see what you're being charged for. It's not just about writing it down on your budget. See how we're delving into our finances. We're going to be making plans. Say, okay, tomorrow, after I look at this tonight, tomorrow, I know I need to call the light company and see about what can I do to get this brought down. I need to see what the electricity usage in my neighborhood is, if I'm on point, if there's any other plans out there, if there's any other programs that I qualify for. Look at that with your gas company. See if the water company has anything available as well, because you never know what's out there unless you go ahead and ask. And yes, all utility companies, they have some sort of way of helping you if you are experiencing financial difficulties, if you're having troubles paying your bills. Give them a call and figure out what you can qualify for, what kind of help you can get. But also look at what your usage is, what you're being billed for, what you're being charged for. Right now is the time to see about getting some better discounts and getting some better help. If you're looking at your phone bill right now and you are thinking, man, it's just one line and this is how much it costs. Let me see what I can do if there's any other options or any alternatives to bring that down, because that's going to save. And the more you save on this stuff, the more you can put into your savings, into achieving your goals and having a great year. So we want to sit down and do that. After you do that, you want to look at your credit card statements and see what all. Same thing. What are you being charged for? What's your interest rate? What are those finance charges that are showing up? You want to know that amount. Again, we see the rate, but we want to really know, what does that mean in money to me? How much is actually coming out of my pocket? I might see a 19% interest rate, but then I see a $50 charge in finance charges or more. So you want to know that, man, now I need to make sure that I'm at least paying, if my finance charges are $50, I need to at least be paying $75 to kind of, bring that down. And then you want to see whatever else you can put towards it, but you can't find that out. We don't know what we're doing unless we look at those statements, open it up and start to go through it. And you want to make sure that whatever you're being charged for is actually yours. It's something that you did. A lot of times we fall victim to subscription services. You guys ever heard of that? Subscription services are those services where we may set up for something. They gave us a free offer. We wanted to try that offer for free for 2 months, but then on the third month, you'll be billed $99.99 per month, however much that may be. You want to make sure that you remember, if you're doing subscription services, cancel those things. And let's say you're doing it, you may sign up right away. You may have 7 days to cancel. Go ahead, put a reminder in your calendar, whatever type of calendar you use, be it paper, be it your phone. If you got alarms that you can set it so that you can remember to cancel it so that you don't get that extra charge. We're looking at making our budget work for us. So we want to make sure that if we have those things that are popping up, we get those taken care of. And the reason for subscription services is because what they are hoping when you sign up for this 7-day free trial, that you will forget on day 8 so that they can collect all the money that they need, and that you forget on day 38 so that they can do it again and every single month. And you may not realize what it is that you are being billed for, but you're just paying it. We see that nowadays on some of our phone bills, on some of the Play stores. We may not even know what we're being charged for, but because we see a transaction, we think, it's just $4, it's just $6, it's just a little bit. But here and there, all of that drains your budget. It drains you without even realizing. And so we want to get a handle on that. So again, if you're going to do subscription services, make sure you set that alarm to cut it off. But if not, make sure that you're paying attention to your bills so that you don't even sign up for something like that that's going to drain your budget. So we looked at our utility bills, we looked at our credit card statements. We want to make sure that we are looking at those bills that we possibly even forget about. Periodic bills. Think about it. If you've got your insurance, maybe you have your insurance billed quarterly or semi-annual or even annually. These are things that we're thinking about, because keep in mind, if we are breaking this out in our budget, if we know that at the end of every year we pay $1,200 for our auto insurance, it's a lot easier to save $100 a month than to have to come up with that $1,200 at one time. So if we start now putting that money in a separate account, we know that that's our car insurance money, and we're letting it go there and stay there so that annually it'll come out okay. That's what you want to do. We want to keep all of that in mind. And as we're going through our budget, if you're looking for tips and ideas, some other ways to save, go online at familycredit.org, grab 100 small ways to save big. And look at that brochure, go through it and see what you can do, the tips that you can use out of there, and update some on your own. That's where you can do this on your own too. Look at different ways for you to save money as you're going throughout your budget. Again, we're having fun, right? This is our budget night. We set our budget night. We got our mindset going. We looked at our income, and now we're delving into our expenses. Then we want to look at the way we spend. Yes, we really need to go there. Now, I always say that if you're looking at or trying to see how it is that you spend money, you have to pay attention to your finances. You've got to pay attention to what you're doing. But while you're doing it and getting this information together, let's say you set a time frame for yourself. Say for the next 2 weeks, I'm going to just spend normal without thinking about it. I'm going to gather all of my receipts. I'm going to look at my credit card statements, my transaction, my bank statements. Be it if you're using your phone, your virtual wallets, you look at that. And for the next 2 weeks, I'm not going to think about it. Set the reminder on my phone that my next budgeting night, I'm going to look at what I did. I guarantee you this will be an eye-opening experience for you. Yes. So sit down and think about. We may say, well, I don't even use that much money. I don't even go anywhere. I don't do anything. But why don't I have money in the course of my month? This is something we want to think about. And again, to get to that state, you have to be able to track your expenses, track your spending, track what you're doing, and learn your spending habits. And this is the best time for you to do it at the beginning of the year. While you are thinking about it, you're looking ahead at next year and saying, okay, for the next 2 weeks, let's see what's going on. And you go back in and you look at it and you're like, wow, did I really need to drink that much coffee? Wow, I went to the grocery store a lot, didn't I? Wow. So it's like we're catching ourselves. We're doing these things and we're like, man, this is allowing me to be able to modify my behavior and shift it. Like, okay, maybe I'm not going to go every 2 seconds to the store. Maybe I am going to sit down once a week and I'm going to plan my budget. Instead of me saying, I'm going to the restaurants, $20, $30 every single day, I'm going to shop. I'm going to set $100 for my week and I'm going to plan my meals. Or I'm only going to go out once and I'm going to plan the rest of my meals. These are lifestyle changes that are drastic, that hugely impact our budget. Now we're getting our finances under control because guess what? We can breathe now. We've got the money. We're saving it. That's where we were blowing $200 a week now. Probably going out, eating out, getting coffee. We're like, wow, I can do this. I can do this. And you deserve it. You deserve to be able to save that money, to have that in your budget, to look at your finances and say, I did it. And at the end of the year, we're going to be able to save more. We're going to be able to pay off our debt because now we've got more money to put towards our debt, to put towards those credit cards, to do that snowball effect so we can get out of debt sooner. Because we made little steps right now by looking at how we spend and versus our income. And we're able to start saving. Our goal is to be able to save 6 months worth of your income and have that. We want to be able to be our own banks. We don't want to be experiencing overdrafts, finance charges, paying out extra interest, high interest rates. No, we don't want any of that. It starts with looking at our budget and then looking at our credit report and bringing it all together so that you are better prepared to deal with your finances. So with that being said, again, we're looking at our expenses, looking at how we spend each and every single month, and we're looking for those spending leaks which drain our wallet that we can say, let's plug this up. Let's be more diligent and let's look at changing the way we do things just a little bit. Let's change our mindset. Instead of saying, oh, I can't do this, I can't do that, I can't save, I can't have any money, I can't go out, I can't have fun. No, let's look at ways that we can increase our savings. We can save more and still be as productive and do those things that we want to do. And it's possible. It just takes a little bit of discipline, which is why we're starting with our budget, because that's the first place that we look to discipline ourselves by figuring out what it is we're bringing in and what we're putting out there. We've got to know what we're putting out there in order for us to make this work. So when you're thinking about your budget, you want to keep all of that in mind. Yes, it's a great thing to do right now because at the end of the year, at the end of 2025, I want to know how much you were able to save. What spending leaks were you able to cut out? And what changes were you able to make in your life because you started today? And it starts small with just little bits of changes. I'm not saying go cold turkey on everything. No, because some things we realize that we can't really, we've been doing things for so long, we can't really do without it that way. But if there's a way for us to cut down on it, to pull back a little bit. Like I said, you probably were going out, let's say you were going out every single night of the week. Well, let's just say now we're going to go out 1 to 2 nights. And while we're in, we're going to make our meals. We're going to prep better. We're going to look at the actual food that we're buying. We're going to look at prices. We're going to say, okay, what can you do with $20? What can you do with $15? And save it like that. So we're drastically reducing the amount that we put out there. And then we want to see what is it that we're actually buying. Not just with our groceries, but what are those items that we feel that we can't live without? And what are the ways that we can save on that? Now we've been able to do a lot of comparison shopping with the different websites, with Amazon, Walmart, whatever stores are out there. We are able to take the item that we're looking at and see how can we get this cheaper. And if we make a habit of doing that each and every single time, we will improve our budget. We will look at our finances. We will be able to save more because again, we're paying attention to what we've got and what we're working with, and we're making that work for us, right? That's what we want to do. We want to make your money work for you. We work so hard for our money each and every single day. So we want to be able to control our finances. And it starts with getting our budget together for the new year. Looking at the income, the expenses, And we want to have a pretty positive number at the end of that. And if we don't have a positive number, what are some ways that we can get to it? So reach out to a counselor at familycredit.org or call 800-994-3328 and chat with the counselor to get the help that you need. All right, we'll be back again to talk about finances and banking.